A woman sits across from her husband, interrogating him about an affair she knows is imminent. Her posture is completely rigid. Her voice barely rises above a whisper. Then the camera shifts its perspective. The man she is speaking to is not her husband. He is her neighbor, and they are rehearsing the agonizing confrontation they both plan to have with their respective spouses. The character attempts to execute a stoic, emotionless practice run, but as she speaks the lines, the raw, uncontainable grief of her actual betrayal bleeds through the cracks of her composure. Ultimately, she fails to maintain the fiction. Mastering the space between a facade and internal grief became the technical hallmark that would define her career's most lauded work. Her entry into the Hong Kong film industry came by way of the beauty pageant circuit. She arrived as a known commodity, celebrated entirely for her surface aesthetics. Directors immediately locked her into the archetype of the flower vase, a beautiful, static accessory required to look frightened or relieved opposite high-octane stars like Jackie Chan in 1980s action films. To match the relentless pace around her, her early acting technique relied on raw kinetic energy. She adopted broad strides, threw her arms around, and pushed her face to theatrical limits. Every frame she inhabited was full of movement. Yet all of this sweeping physical noise yielded characters with very little internal emotional weight. For an actor confined by her own visual perfection, discovering genuine emotional resonance required a complete dismantling of every physical habit she had built. That dismantling began when she collaborated with an emerging auteur on his debut feature, As Tears Go By. Wong Kar-wai forced her into a retreat from theatricality. He directed her to strip away the practiced, melodramatic body language that had defined her previous dozen roles. This intervention crystallizes in a single sequence. Her character watches through a window as her lover boards a bus, knowing he is leaving to execute a potentially fatal gang hit. There is a radical artistic void in the way she plays the moment. She doesn't scream his name, she doesn't run after the bus, she doesn't wave in desperation. She stands perfectly still. She holds a sad, lingering gaze as a single tear falls. That minimal physical output communicates a heavier sense of intended doom than a screaming monologue. By eliminating loud physical noise, the audience is forced to actively search the actor's face. They become complicit in discovering the character's internal dread. As her career matured, she began to design highly specific body language to build psychological armor for her characters, particularly in Comrades. Playing Li Chao, an immigrant newly arrived in Hong Kong, she adopts a posture that is aggressively unrefined. She walks with wide strides, swings her arms forcefully, and maintains a hostile, defiant glare. She projects toughness to hide insecurities of an outsider, masking her lack of resources. Contrast that aggressive survival stance with her portrayal of a doomed 1930s actress in Center Stage. Walking alone through the snow, her body is entirely detached from reality, her steps aimless and devoid of any defense. In the film's climax, she collapses in grief, pulling a thick blanket completely over her head and body so she can sob in private. The physical act of hiding under a blanket visualizes the paralyzing weight of public perception. Sometimes a character's truest moment is only revealed when they disappear completely. In the Mood for Love, physical restriction serves as the structural core of the performance. The rigidly tailored cheongsam she wears acts as a literal cage. It physically locks her body into a stiff, confined posture, permitting zero broad movements. The camera actively participates in this suppression. It routinely captures their consistent refusal to make direct eye contact. Her performance exists entirely in micro-expressions, downward glances, slight hesitations, and the visible physical effort required to swallow her longing. The tighter the character attempts to lock away her romantic desire, the louder these microscopic physical leaks speak to the audience. Cinematic heartbreak achieves its maximum potency, not when a character explodes in grief, but when the audience witnesses the excruciating physical toll of pretending everything is fine. Cheung viewed the intersection of physical beauty and international fame as a temporary state, noting the inherent fragility in maintaining such a public profile. She made the counterintuitive decision to step away from the screen entirely, retiring from acting after completing the 2004 film Clean. Over the next 20 years, she quietly pivoted to film editing, creating music, and philanthropy. Tabloids continually ran critiques of her appearance as she aged, but she remained unbothered by the headlines. Stepping away from the screen at the peak of her visibility was her final refusal to serve as a decorative object for public consumption. The defining visual of her legacy is a moment of absolute, quiet resolution. In the closing sequence of Comrades, two battered, estranged lovers accidentally spot each other on a bustling New York sidewalk after years of separation. There is no sweeping orchestral score swelling in the background. There is no dramatic run into each other's arms, and there are no tearful declarations of love. She simply offers a slow, measured smile, a single expression that wordlessly processes decades of survival, bitterness, and eventual peace. Cheung proved that the courage to finally drop the act and simply exist is the most challenging performance to master.